chapter 4. Every lock broke open. From the song, he broke through the gates. Lies lost their sound. Every lock broke open when his boots hit the ground. He raised up the faithful, death kept bound, and we followed him out as death's power came down. He broke all the chains with the keys in his hand. He moved towards the gates, and I understood something I hadn't understood until that moment. There were gates. I know that sounds strange. I had been there for longer than I could measure, and I had never thought about gates. On our side, there was rest and comfort and the presence of the faithful. On the other side, there was torment and darkness and the divide between us. That was the geography of that place as far as I knew it. But when he started walking, I became aware of structures I had never noticed before. Boundaries, barriers, doors, locks. Things that had been there the entire time, holding everything in place. I had never seen them because I had never needed to. They were part of the architecture of death, invisible until someone with authority to break them showed up and made them visible by breaking them. It's like living in a house your whole life and never noticing the locks on the doors because you've never tried to leave. The locks were always there. You just didn't see them because you'd accepted them as walls. He didn't accept the walls. The first gate, I don't know what else to call it. It came apart before he touched it. I don't mean he pushed it open. I mean it came apart. The way ice breaks on a river in the spring. Not because something strikes it, but because something underneath it has changed. And it simply cannot hold its shape anymore. The gate didn't resist him. It couldn't. It was made of an authority that had just been overruled, and the materials knew it even if the builder didn't. And when his boots, that's right, it's my imagination to imagine Jesus walking around this place in boots. And when his boots hit the ground on the other side of that gate, every lock in the place broke open. Every single one. Not one at a time, not in sequence, all of them simultaneously. Like they were all connected to the same mechanism, and that mechanism was his footstep. The sound of it, I can't describe the sound adequately. Imagine every chain you've ever seen, every padlock, every bolt, every bar. Imagine all of them snapping at once. A sound so total and so final that it didn't echo. It didn't need to. It said everything it had to say in one moment, and then it was done. The lies went silent. That's the part that surprised me the most. I hadn't realized how loud the lies were until they stopped. You have to understand, there was a voice in that place. Not a person, a frequency, a constant low hum that had been running underneath everything for as long as I could remember. I had gotten so used to it that I didn't hear it anymore. The way you stop hearing the refrigerator in your kitchen until the power goes out, and suddenly the silence is deafening. The lies were like that, a background noise so constant that it became invisible. Whispers that didn't announce themselves as whispers. Accusations that didn't sound like accusations because they'd been playing so long they sounded like the truth. Things like, this is all there is. The waiting will never end. God forgot about you. The promise was for someone else. You believed for nothing. I didn't even know I was hearing them until they stopped. And they stopped the instant he walked through that gate, like someone pulled the plug on a machine that had been running since the garden. The hum died. The whispers evaporated. The accusations, which I now realize had been gnawing at the edges of my rest for as long as I'd been there, went silent. Not answered, not argued with, not debated, silent, because the one speaking them no longer had the authority to speak. You want to know what a lie sounds like when it meets the truth in person? Nothing. It sounds like nothing. A lie doesn't argue with the truth. It doesn't fight. It doesn't mount a defense. It just stops existing. The way darkness doesn't negotiate with light. The way a shadow doesn't debate with the sun. The truth walks in, and the lie is simply no longer there. That's what happened when he broke through the gates. Every lie that had ever been spoken over the faithful, every whisper that said the waiting was pointless, every accusation that said our faith was foolish, every dark suggestion that God had abandoned his promise, all of it lost its sound, gone, like it had never been there. And in the silence that followed, he did something I will never forget as long as forever lasts. He raised us up. Not with a word, not with a command, not with the kind of dramatic gesture you might expect from a king entering a conquered territory. He just looked at us with those eyes that saw everything and condemned nothing, and something in that look was an invitation. No stronger than an invitation, a summons. Get up. It's time. The waiting is over. Follow me. Abraham was the first to move. Of course he was. The man had spent his whole life responding to that voice. The voice that said go and he went. The voice that said believe and he believed. The voice that said sacrifice and he raised the knife. Abraham knew what it sounded like when God said move, and he moved. David was next, and now he was singing, not humming. Singing, full voice, the way I imagine he must have sounded in the fields when he was young. And it was just him and the sheep and the God who was preparing him for a throne he didn't know was coming. The song didn't have words that I recognized. It was new, something being composed in the moment, born out of a joy so fierce it couldn't be contained in anything that had already been written. I thought of something David had written a long time ago, a psalm I had heard quoted many times on our side of the divide. It said, "You will not leave my soul in Sheol, nor will you allow your Holy One to see corruption." He wrote that ages ago, and I don't think even David fully understood what he was writing when he wrote it. But now, watching him rise to his feet and follow the man with the keys, I saw the psalm fulfilled in front of me. God had not left David's soul in that place. God had not left any of our souls in that place. The Holy One, Jesus, had come in person to make sure of it. Moses moved. Rahab moved. Daniel moved. The prophets moved. The judges moved. Men and women whose names would be remembered for generations, and men and women whose names would never be written down, all of them rising, standing, and turning toward the man who had broken every gate, shattered every lock, and silenced every lie. And we followed him. I wish I could tell you what it felt like, but I'm not sure human language, even from this side of eternity, can carry it. The closest I can get is this. Imagine you've been holding your breath, not for a few seconds, for years, for centuries, not in pain. You didn't need to breathe in that place the way you needed to breathe when you were alive. But there was a constriction, a tightness, something in your chest that was always there, always pressing, always reminding you that this place, as good as it was not the end. It was a pause, a hold, a sustained note waiting to resolve, and then it resolved. Following him out felt like exhaling for the first time, like the tightness in my chest released, and something rushed in to fill the space it left behind. Not air, life, real life, the kind of life that doesn't have an expiration date, the kind that doesn't come with a waiting room attached. As we moved, I could see what was happening on the other side. The realm of torment, that dark howling, waiting territory across the divide was collapsing. Not the way a building collapses with dust and rubble, the way a kingdom collapses, the way a government falls. The structures were still there, but the authority that had held them together was gone. The warden had lost his keys. The locks were broken. The gates were open. Death's power was coming down, not slowly, not in stages, but right now, in real time, as the man with the scars walked forward and every one of us walked behind him. I looked back once, just once. I don't know why. Maybe for the same reason anyone looks back at the place they were leaving for the last time. Not because they want to return, but because they want to remember what it looked like so they never take for granted where they're going. What I saw behind me was an empty room. Abraham's side, the place of comfort, the place of rest, the place that held the faithful dead since the beginning, was empty. Every soul that had waited there was now on their feet, following the man out. The quiet side of the divide was quiet in a new way now. Not the quiet of people resting, the quiet of a place that had served its purpose and would never be needed again. The waiting room was closed. Not because it failed, because it finished. It did exactly what it was designed to do: hold God's people in safety until the one who could come and bring them home arrived. And now he was here, and we were following him. And every chain was broken, every lock was open, every lie was dead, and death itself, the last enemy, the final boss, the thing that had terrorized humanity since the garden, was watching its prisoners walk out the front door behind a man it couldn't stop. And he broke all the chains with the keys in his hand, and we followed him out. Closing chapter 4.